This podcast is sponsored by Panda Design, a design company specializing in graphic and web design along with complete brand and marketing solutions. Visit www.pandadesign.com, that's double I in design, and mention Gooner Ramble for 10% discount on orders over £250.
And welcome to another Gooner Ramble podcast. Due to the fact that JJ is missing in action tonight, we're going to host it ourselves. I'm Mark from one of the regulars, and got a couple of other regulars with me tonight. Firstly, ladies first, obviously. I've got Mrs. Smudger, as she is now known. It's Gooner girl Amanda. Amanda, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. All the better for 3 points yesterday.
Absolutely.
And joining us, we have another pod regular. It is Woz. Woz, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Thanks for having us on.
No problem, mate. No problem. Did you enjoy yesterday?
In a short, no. But we'll talk about it. I was happy with the 3 points, but that was about it, really.
Yeah, early start for the game. Guess that means a bit more drinking time afterwards, was it? I think I saw lots of tweets from yourselves and from Akil to say that you were enjoying post-match drinks.
It's always the way, isn't it? 12:30 kick-off's always...
Yeah, they're horrible.
They allow it to be open. They're horrible, really, mate. You don't get no time before, and then afterwards, especially when you win, you've got no excuse to go home. So it don't really help the situation, to be honest with you.
Exactly, mate, exactly. Right, so this is the 100th Gooner Ramble pod. We will try and do it justice. We should have celebrated it a bit more, but we'll just get on with it. The first thing we were going to talk about is, before we get round to the game, is obviously on Friday night, I believe there was a bit of a meltdown on Twitter and other social media due to the comments that Righty made on Radio 5 Live. Now, Amanda, I think you were on there the other day, weren't you? Was it Saturday morning or Friday morning you did?
Yeah, they gave me a quick call Friday night, asked if I'd come on and talk about Ian Wright's comments, and at that moment I didn't actually know what they were talking about because I hadn't seen anything. I was out, and when I got back I watched what he said. I actually watched a clip of him talking about it and read obviously what he said as well. And if you do listen properly, because I did say this on the radio Saturday morning, if you do listen, he hasn't said he's leaving. He just said he thinks he's tired. He thinks he's come to the end, but that's his opinion of how he was talking to him. Wenger didn't stand there and go, "I'm leaving" at the end of the season. And since then, Wenger's come out and said that, hasn't he? That he didn't mean those comments in that way. And also, Righty spoke about that on Match of the Day last night as well, when they took the mickey out of him for talking about it.
Well, yeah,
and he said it was just his opinion.
No,
you know?
I mean, he's clarified last night that it was his opinion. He still thinks. He said he did say he still thinks that this will be his last season. I know he didn't say he's leaving. I mean, no one suggested that he'd actually stated those words, but he did really give quite a strong indication from what he felt that Wenger was coming to the end of his time. Now, and I mean, like, if you're coming to the end, that means coming to the end of being manager. I mean, what did you make of it, Was?
Yeah, I mean, whatever Arsene says, we know his cards are always going to be played close to his chest, but just for me, it was interesting to see what a frenzy it whipped up like amongst the fan base. I know it's on social media and things, but there was almost a feeling of excitement, I sense. Not to say, oh, thank God he's going. It was more a sense of the current situation. Maybe people are starting to get bored of things, and we looked forward and we looked at possible new managers, and all this is happening over the space of a couple of hours, all because of Saint Wright, he said, about something that we don't even know what really went on. So it was just interesting from my point of view, not just the comments, just to see the way the fan base reacted to it. And it was almost as if it was an acceptance that, yeah, maybe this really is the end of it for Arsene, and we're gonna have to come to terms with that, and we're gonna have to celebrate his last few months in charge. But obviously, you and I, and we all know that might not be the truth, and there could very much be a 2-year deal sat under his nose that he's waiting to pluck out of the air. So I think it's just a matter of waiting and seeing, really.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but the problem is we can't wait because it's going to destabilise everything, isn't it? It's all going to be about, this is what I said, it's all going to be about Wenger this, Wenger that, Wenger this. We're not actually playing top football at the moment, are we? And there's all this with the crowd, whether you're a Wenger in, whether you're a Wenger out, whether you want to take a banner, whether you don't want to take a banner. It needs to be about the team. And, you know, these people that say when you go to the ground, you should support the team. We all support the team, whether you want Wenger in or Wenger out. No one goes there not to support the team. It's just that it was blown up because he hasn't signed his 2-year extension, and anyone going for an extension on a contract will be thinking about it. If you're going to ask me where I think he's going to stay, I think he is going to stay. But I'm with you, Warren. I was a bit like that. I felt a bit excited. I thought, my God, change could actually may be coming sooner than we think. But then when he came out and said those comments, Wenger, I thought, maybe not. But we'll see.
I mean, all great points there, Amanda. I think it was interesting. I mean, I'm never going to read too much into it because, you know, obviously I want him to go, but until the club say it's a done deal and Wenger says something about the fact that he's leaving, I won't build my hopes up too much. I don't think he'll leave. I think the club has a contract waiting for him to sign. They probably know that at the moment it's not a great time for him to do it because, you know, it doesn't seem that he's doing the job well enough this year to merit being extended. But on the other hand, you've got a lot of stories in the press that were going on about Arsenal have been sounding out other managers. You know, the main one being the whole stuff about Allegri and him possibly be leaving Juve at the end of the season, and other sort of rumours that I won't go into about him that have been going around, and other names that have been thrown into the hat. But yeah, it was interesting to see some people have a bit of a meltdown. You know, it was nice to think that there'd be a small, I don't know whether they're rodents or mammals, I'm not sure, but a nice dead meerkat somewhere up in the northwest of England sobbing his eyes out, and other acolytes as well. But yeah, it was interesting to see, and I think people, you know, maybe it was good because people are going to have to realise he's not going to go on forever. There comes a point where he is going to leave. You know, is he going to leave on a high or not? Who knows? But we shall wait and see. So we're not reading too much into what Wrighty said then, no?
Me personally, no.
No, not me.
Right.
To be honest.
Okay. Put that one to bed then. Bit of a storm in a teacup, that one, but it was good fun while it lasted. So moving on then to the game on Saturday, we were being visited by Hull, who have done pretty well under their new manager. He certainly seems to have sorted them out defensively, and they'd had some very good results and kept some decent clean sheets. They got one of those goalkeepers. I'd have to say their goalkeeper reminds me a bit of a guy that you may, well, Amanda, you might remember him, you certainly won't, called Jan Tomaszewski, who was the goalkeeper for Poland, who helped knock England out of the qualifying for the World Cup in '74. Decent keeper, but a bit off the nut, you know, sort of Jens Lehmann type. He looks like a good
I was
keeper.
going to say he was a bit nutty, wasn't he?
Yeah,
that one.
But you know, like this guy looks like another one, you know. But yeah, they've done well recently, so it was always going to be a bit tight. And obviously the lineup. First of all, did anybody want to say anything about how the team lined up in terms of personnel?
I was, do you know what? When I looked before the game, I looked at the starting 11 and what I'd fancied, and realistically, I was only one player away from what I really wanted was to see Welbs or maybe Perez on that left side and give Iwobi a few minutes rest and maybe rotate him in for Ozil a bit later in the game. But realistically, I couldn't really argue that much with what we had available with the team selection, and it was just, I was happy with the personnel, but I was looking for more of a response after all these rumours of the so-called team meeting and Wenger's backs against the wall and the situation we've been in and the results over the last few weeks. I was expecting us to be sort of really going all guns blazing, but it didn't seem to materialise.
Amanda, what did you think about the fact that Gibbs was in the side rather than Monreal?
I was okay about that. I was just a bit more disappointed that Welbeck wasn't on the pitch, to be honest. Unless he can only play 10 or 15 minutes at the moment. That was my thing. I get a bit bored with this lineup at the moment. I'd love to see what we had at Southampton, realistic or not. I'd like to see that. I was a bit surprised he substituted Ox. Because I thought he had he's definitely growing into that position, isn't he? He's a joy to watch at the moment. And I mean, I don't know if we go back, but at Chelsea, I felt he was the only one. And the fact that I was like row one so close, which I've never sat like that before, you can watch so much closely their reactions. And the Ox was going mad at everyone, just literally losing it with everybody. And I don't know if that came through on TV, but that's good. I'm pleased that he's been played a lot. Obviously, he's been played a lot there due to injuries, but Xhaka must be back then. Is he back for Bayern?
Well, he will be because it's a domestic suspension only, so he's available for Bayern.
Right.
But I'm pretty certain that was the last of his 4 games. Was it?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that was the last of his 4.
Yeah,
so back in contention now, domestic and the Europe side.
Yeah. So,
And you know, I'm going to ask you two then. Do you think he should walk straight back in?
Me personally, 100%. I think he's got to come back in. I think it's been such a big difference without him that you can notice the lack of control in midfield. I thought against Hull we were so sloppy and we just had no one to get hold of the ball. And I mean, realistically, we looked at it. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. We only completed 5 more passes than Hull City at the Emirates. I mean, that's crazy. And there was a big gaping hole. And you spoke about Ox, Amanda, and I thought he had a great game. But I think as well, he's another player that he's going to need someone alongside him like Granit Xhaka who can come deep, can pick up possession and let Alex box-to-box Slade Chamberlain do what he's been doing. Do you know what I mean? He's up and down and all over the shop, winning tackles in his own half, creating things in the final third, and it's great to see. But we just lack that control and that presence and the calmness on the ball that Granit Xhaka for me gives us, and it is something that I don't think has been appreciated enough from him, because it's almost as if we just become accustomed to it with Santi being there all this time, and when Xhaka's come in, he's actually done a fantastic job at taking the midfield by the scruff of the neck and wanting the possession and moving the ball on like Santi does. But because Santi's been so brilliant at it, I don't think Xhaka, for the size of the guy and for what he does, gets as much credit as he should. And we've definitely noticed, for me, without him, that we need him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it would be nice to see Ox and Xhaka play with each other, because I think Xhaka will happily sit and spray the ball around from deep. As you said, what was that again? Box to box Slade Chamberlain, yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether that's good or not, mate. To be fair, I'm not sure it's either brilliant or it's cringe, but I'll give you credit
Terrible.
for that one. But yeah, I think I'd like to come back to Ox a little bit later on when we're talking about the game, just around when he got moved, not so much his substitution, but when he got moved again, because I thought it was another Iwobi Watford moment to me. But I think Adrian Clark said the same thing. Right, so just getting back to the game, pretty quiet game. As you said, I think we didn't really see a great deal of reaction. It's not like we were flying at them. There was a few half chances and not a lot was happening, and then there was the goal. Now obviously let's talk about the goal. I think really good work in the goal from Iwobi, who slides a little ball through to Ozil pulls it back. I think it got cleared out to Gibbs. I thought Gibbs did really well because it come at him quick, took one touch, hit a really good shot, which I think it might have been cleared off the line, and I'm not sure whether it was going in, but it seemed to get cleared off the line and bounced back, and it's sort of there in that 50-50 ground between Alexis and the keeper. Amanda, what happened next?
Well, you see, the thing is, for me, how can it can't be handball? It can't be. It hit his hands. He didn't put his hand out to push it into the goal. I don't know where all this furore's coming from, to be honest. Fucking idiot fans that don't understand the bloody handball rules. Actually, idiot fans that don't really understand a lot of the rules. But, you know, what's he supposed to do? He's trying to balance himself. The ball ricochets off the goalkeeper onto him and into the goal. I don't think it's a question of what's he supposed to do. There's nothing he can do, yeah? No one's denying that the ball has come up, the ball has hit his hand, he hasn't moved his hand. Yeah, no. You could say why is his hand up there? But as a point was made to me earlier on Twitter, you know, he's lunging in to get his foot to the ball, so he's got his arm up for balance. It comes up, hits his hand, and goes in. It's not he's done it on purpose. You know, he didn't Maradona it in. But no, you know, the ball it's a bit like the one at Burnley. Yeah, the ball is not going in until it hits his hand and then goes in the net. Now you could say, I know that if you look at the rules,
you could say, according to the rules, he hasn't deliberately done it, so therefore it's not handball. So it's not going to be given as a free kick to Hull, but it's still hit his hand and gone in rather than go flying over the bar as the same with Koscielny's one when Oxlade took his shot. I mean, what do you reckon?
Great area for me, mate. I mean, it's one of those. If it's for you, 100% it's a goal. Of course, it's a goal. But if it's against you, then you start questioning it. And I completely agree with what you're saying, Amanda, with regards to the rules and everything. But this is where sometimes people call for technology in the game, but realistically, all the technology in the world, that is down to the individual perception of the guy making a decision. And like you said, Mark, I don't think the fact is that ball would not go in the net unless it went in via his hand. And that's where it's a grey area. I understand the rules, Amanda. I know he wasn't attempting to, it was ball to hand. He didn't attempt to, but at the end of the day, he scored a goal with his hand, and that's why it's a bit of a grey area there. I completely understand where you're coming from, but yeah, I just think for me, if it goes against me, I find it a tough one to swallow. But I'm very happy it went for me. But I just think it's a 50-50 decision that, depending on the referee and the timing and the situation, it could go either way. And the same as the one at Burnley, it could very easily have been disallowed, and thankfully both of them have gone in our favour. But I have seen them disallowed. But I'm happy it was a goal, clearly. But
yeah. I mean, strangely enough, the one at Burnley should have been disallowed anyway because he was offside. But rather than it having the thing of it hitting him in the hand, he was like a country mile offside. But that's.
Can I just say something though? You've got to stop at that point where you go, the rules say it doesn't matter if it's a grey area. Those are the rules. We have to all play by them. If that ref thinks it's not a deliberate handball, finished. It doesn't matter if it's gone in by his hand. That's the only way it's gone in. That's the rules. There is no grey area, that's the rules. The grey area comes in on opinion. You know, if the ref blows and we go, well, actually, he thinks Alexis moved his hand to push it in, which blatantly he doesn't. But I'm not like that. I'm very unbiased on all football, all Arsenal, everything. If I felt he'd have handballed that deliberately and we got a goal, great, I would have said it. I'd have said, yeah, he definitely did that. He didn't. End of story. It's a goal. We move on. I don't know why there's a discussion. It's not our fault. Those are the rules. They are the FA rules.
Well, yeah, so, but the reason why there's a discussion is because, well, for one, it benefited Arsenal and everybody hates that. But, you know, it's also, it is something, I mean, personally, I can understand that it's within the rules, so the goal is allowed for that reason. I don't agree with the rule. I think it's a silly rule. I think if the ball has gone into the net off your hand when the ball was going nowhere near the goal, I think it's harsh that a team is that. And I'll tell you what always gets me about it is if we let in a goal like that, people won't go, oh yeah, but you know what, that's fine, it's the rules, and you know, we got the goal against Hull earlier in the season when people will be boiling their piss all over the place about it, to be fair, but that's just football fans. But I get your point, Amanda. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, because I think you've been involved in some conversations today about it, was the thing that happened with Mark Twattenberg in at half time. I mean, I really bothered about it. I saw like the post match interviews where it got mentioned, but I didn't really pay any attention to it. But I know you've had a discussion with a few people on Twitter about it. So what's this Mark Twattenberg thing?
Well, wasn't right. Okay, so my close friend is a ref, so I go to him on every decision, and I'm 9 out of 10 times I'm wrong. Okay, so I have learned a lot over this season about certain rules and things. What's annoyed me, Mark, about this is that he doesn't get any replays down that tunnel as he's walking off. Because I was watching a little clip with Robbie Savage and Howard Webb, and Savage asked him that and said, look, when Clattenburg goes down, does he get a chance to quickly look at it and then go in the whole, dressing room? And he said, no, doesn't get a thing to look. So what rival fans are saying is he's gone in, he's apologised to them and said, I've not seen it. I would have given it, as a free kick. We don't know what he said. He could have gone in and said, listen, boys, if you think I've missed something, I'll apologise. I'll look at it later. We don't know what he said. So all I've had all day is, oh, well, he's apologised. Obviously, it's wrong then. Obviously, it should have been given. No, that's not what has been said. He didn't see a replay. He has seen what we've seen. We were all at the ground. We saw it. I didn't even know it was handball because that's not my end. But I'm angry with that, Mark, because he has caused this controversy. Why has he gone in and said, I'm sorry. I understand we don't know what he's saying sorry for. Maybe then as he's gone off, maybe he thought maybe Alexis was deliberate and he's given the goal. I don't know, but he's caused this. And I don't think it's helped the situation. And I have to disagree with you slightly, and I am maybe a bit different as a football fan then, because if that was the other end and Hull would have done that, and I'd looked to my dad and gone, well, it wasn't deliberate, it's in the rules. Don't like the rules, but that's the rules. I wouldn't have, as you said, bored my piss over it, because each team gets different, like we would have said Burnley. That was very unlucky on Burnley because, yes, you're right, he was offside. But you may not like the rules, but they are the rules. No, I'm just angry with the ref doing that. I think he's caused a lot of issue, to be honest. Okay.
Was anything to add to that?
I think Amanda's hit the nail on the head, really, with everything regarding that decision, to be honest with you, mate.
I'd say.
It's just a difficult one. It's just Amanda's spot on what she's saying with regards to the rules and everything. But as a football fan, everyone's different. And personally, I'd have been very, very peeved if that had gone against me. But such is life, and we move on with a goal, and we're 1-0 up. So happy days.
Exactly, mate. And if Amanda never boils her piss, I'd hate to think what that little rant there was about. Right, going to move on now into the second half, and we were about 8 minutes into the second half when there was a coming together, shall we say, over in the far corner by the North Bank East Stand with Theo Walcott and Maguire, which was what you'd certainly call a mismatch in terms of size, and then Huddleston got involved. Now, I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, Amanda, you might be able to say a bit more because that's the side where you sit, I know. So, I can't see it too well from where I am. Looked like there was nothing in it really to me, but Theo, for some reason, seemed to be quite aggrieved about it and got involved. So, I mean, what had happened to cause that, do you think?
Sorry, you're talking to me or was?
I was talking to you, hence my use of the word Amanda, but please.
Sorry, I thought you said what was at the end, sorry. Okay, so that was by me in the corner. It was a tackle over nothing. But what amazed me, I think for me, Theo, that was more frustration. I think he just lost it at frustration. But he was going at him for quite a while and not one Arsenal player came over to him to pull him away, to aid him, to do anything. And Hull was all over there, and all of a sudden, two of our players rushed over. He just lost his head. And it's really un-Theo-like. But to be fair, I don't know what it was over. I don't know if he kicked him off the ball. I don't know if he pushed him. I don't know.
So
to be honest,
you didn't really see anything that you thought could have caused it, or
he just sort of lost the plot. I mean, he didn't go like a lunatic, but he was angry. Yeah.
What do you
reckon,
I do
feel frustration.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in block 13. I sit directly in front of that. So I'm right by that corner flag. That's where I sit.
Right.
And earlier on in the move, Ox went down the wing and he got fouled and kept his feet brilliantly. Then the referee, rightly so, played advantage. Ox has played the ball down the line a bit too far ahead of Theo, and clearly the giant is shepherding him out. But I think Theo's point of view, from the way I saw it, is he was playing. He made absolutely no intent whatsoever to play the ball. It was literally a case of arms on Theo, really solid, as you would as a centre back, as you would as a defender. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think the reason Theo was pissed off was because there was absolutely no attempt to play the ball by Maguire, and it was just literally to play the man. And he turned around and picked up the ball, and the linesman's just saying no, and he's hurled the ball away, only in that direction, because he's got nothing out of it. I think it was a bit of frustration that the pass was ahead of him, and it was quite an easy pass to execute, and he could have been in. And then also it was frustration that Maguire, we see it time and time again, but they say, you have to be within a ball playing distance of the ball, but Maguire was making no attempts. And then after it happened, obviously Theo's thrown the ball and Maguire's turned around and started sort of trying to angst things. Theo's got in his face and sort of said, "Look, piss off, like I'm already annoyed." And like you said, Amanda, the thing out of all of it that really wound me up more than anything is you had Huddleston coming over and Walcott is pushing him away, and not one player for about good 10, 15 seconds come over until Coquelin come over and started cuddling Walcott. And he didn't come over to help him. He just come over to cuddle him. And I'm telling you now, no matter whether it was Walcott's fault or not, any level of football that I've ever played in, 6-a-side down on a Thursday night to Sunday League So right up, obviously I've not played in Champions League football, but right up to that level, you should be there backing your man, whatever happens, in my opinion. And I don't care whether it was like something over nothing. Theo Walcott is surrounded by all these absolute giants. Not one player had the balls to run over there. Within, Sanchez is standing there, Coquelin standing there, they're all within 15, 20 yards. You get over there and you back your man. I don't care what it's about and what's happened. You make sure that he's out of there all right, because at the end of the day, the situation could have escalated more and Theo could have got sent off, all because of them 3 players winding him up and no one coming in to back him up. And that, for me, sort of indicates the situation that us we're a bit spineless. We ain't got no leadership on the pitch, and a little incident like that, although it's something over nothing, it just sort of epitomises the way we are at the moment as a whole team, and it was frustrating to see. And I think that was why he was pissed off. It was something very small to get pissed off over, but I think it was, as you say, frustrations of the way the game was going for him, not things were happening right, and I was just more peeved that nobody else got involved, and we didn't even bother to try and back him up, mate, to be honest.
Go ahead.
No, I was just a bit confused because I'm playing devil's advocate here. Perhaps our players thought it wasn't anything going on because it's Theo, and he never does that. So maybe they were just like looking at it thinking, oh, it's Theo. But I'm with you. We kept saying, where are our players? Why is he on his own here? I was exactly like that, Warren. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't believe it. And then 2 did rush over felt like 10 minutes later, but obviously wasn't. But I don't know. Sorry, Mark, go on.
No, it's fine. I mean, I was going to say something similar to what you've just said. I mean, from my point of view, you'd probably imagine I would be someone who would back up a player on a pitch being a bit of a lunatic. But I looked at that and just thought, there's nothing in it. What's he doing? I thought it was really petulant behaviour, the throwing the ball. I mean, he's got a booking for nothing there. And I think, as you've said, it was born out of frustration from maybe, how the game was, how his own game was going. And I think that is, I hope that's the reason why a lot of players probably looked at it and went, well, let him get on with it if he's just going to be, a bit throw his toys out of his pram over nothing. Whereas I think if it had been something, if he'd have been fouled or they'd have been beefing him, because they didn't really do anything much to try and get involved with him, I'd expect them all to go over. Or, more worryingly, it's what you two have said, and maybe it's just an indication that our players are not really that way inclined, and you're then back to the whole argument about passion or no passion, and whether how much of a part that actually plays in modern football compared to the old days. Anyway, he got his yellow card, and then moving on, we had what I thought was a pretty contentious issue again in the 55th minute when we were attacking and we lost the ball, and I think their left back Robinson, he lofted a long ball from deep in their half that was coming down from a mile high into about a 15-yard area inside our half, and I think the whole forward and Koscielny and, for some strange reason, Mustafi all challenged for this ball, which was the bit that really pissed me off, is why both our centre-halves felt the need to challenge for the same ball. I think the whole forward got the touch, knocking it forward, and then you had pretty much a bit of a leg race on then between Markovic, and thankfully it was Gibbs and not Monreal, and Kieran Gibbs. Then, how did you see what happened next? What did you think of that?
I thought it was a red card. I honestly did. I thought we were very, very lucky in that situation. I really do. And I can tell you something now, if that was Alexis Sanchez running in 20 yards of space, one-on-one at the other end, I'd have been doing somersaults down on I'd have been going absolutely ballistic, mate, and you saw that was literally about a minute after the Theo incident, and the first thing that happened was there was 10 Hull players, even the keeper come steaming out all around the referee, and I thought we got away with one there, mate. I really, really did. I thought it was unfortunate for Gibbs. He had to come across on the cover, but Markovic got there first, and he just wiped him out. He just clattered him, and at the end of the day, he's through on goal. I don't care how far he is from the goal. He's in acres. Like you said, there was no one within 20, 30 yards of him. He was just through. And had he got that touched and Gibbs had missed the challenge, he was through one-on-one. So, I mean, for me, I really did think we got away with one. And thank God Clattenburg sort of decided to pull the yellow out, because I was quite surprised when he did. I honestly thought that was that, and he was going to send him off, because we've seen the way some of our players, like Granit Xhaka, have been treated at home this season with 2 very contentious red cards, and that was an easier one to give than both of them, and thankfully he didn't. I was surprised.
He had his yellow out fairly early, I think, and that was why a lot of the whole players were all around him and having a go. And I mean, it's difficult to think that a referee would put the yellow away and get out of the red just because of pressure from players. But that's probably why Clattenburg is the best referee that we've got. He doesn't really give in to pressure too much, I don't think, and he did right. I mean, what did you think, Amanda?
Definite red. We were bloody lucky. I looked at my dad and I went, oh my God, he's gone. But I don't understand. He's either red or nothing. What's the yellow card for? Because the thing is, he should have been sent off, because we know that he denied an obvious goal scoring opportunity. That's not changed. And he was the last man and he was through on goal. But you see, the difference that's changed, that if that was in the box, it would have been a yellow and a penalty, unless it was deliberate, because they've taken away the double jeopardy thing with the sending off in the box and a pen. I don't get what the yellow card's for.
I think the yellow card was actually for the actual
a foul.
The foul itself. As was said, Gibbs he starts to come across pretty soon, to be fair, which gives him the chance to get there, but he's still not going to get to the ball, and he basically piles into the back of him. I think that's why he's giving him a yellow for a foul, in the same way that I think if that had been in the box, I think it would have been a penalty, because I think the rule is that you've got to be making a penalty and a red, because you've got to be making a genuine challenge for the ball, not to be sent off.
No, sorry. Yeah, I meant if it was like a genuine attempt at the ball without being a foul,
I think
they don't send you off now.
Yeah,
but
Gibbs just he cleaned him out, basically.
Yeah,
the only thing I'd say is that maybe Clattenburg didn't think that Markovic was going to be in control of the ball, which I don't. I'm not quite sure how he could say that, because without Gibbs going through the back of him, how do we know if Markovic has managed to get enough of a touch on that ball to get it out in front of him and be through one-on-one with Czech? So
I suppose he got the yellow then. So what you're saying is he got a yellow for the foul, and he didn't think he was in a goal-scoring opportunity then. But there was no one around them.
That's the only reason I can think of. The only reason I can think of. Otherwise, he's the definite foul. He's definitely the last man. What other reason would he have not to have given him a red? I can't. I just can't see it. But I agree. I thought it was a red card. But what gets me is the focus there is on what Gibbs has done, and whilst I don't understand why our 2 centre halves are challenging for the same ball, that made no sense to me. But anyway, we got away with that one, shall we say? Because for 35 minutes down to 10 men, could have made the game a bit tough. Next talking point I wanted to bring up was our substitutions again, and I have to say I found this very strange, and I had a very brief Twitter conversation with Adrian Clark about it, and he kind of agreed. On 69 minutes, we bought El Neni on for Walcott, and at that point, El Neni dropped into centre midfield with Coquelin, and Ox went out onto the wide right. Now, for me, I didn't understand that sub. We're only 1-0 up. Hull was still had a foot in the game. They were making their substitutions. When Ox had been having a good game, and I thought he had a good game, and you were right, Amanda, what you said, he was probably the only bright spot to come out of Chelsea game last week. Why move him? Now, to me, this is exactly the same as when Iwobi was playing on the wide left against Watford at the start of that second half, when we really got stuck into him, and he gets his goal, and then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, he gets moved, and we lost impetus. And I didn't understand. I mean, if you want to bring El Neni on, why not just do a straight swap for Coquelin? Coquelin had got whacked earlier, and we know he's struggling with his hamstrings. Why not just bring him on as a straight sub for Coquelin? Why does he need Coquelin and El Neni there against Hull at home when you're 1-0 up? So, I mean, Amanda, I'll go to you first. What did you think about that sub, and the fact, or more importantly, the fact that Oxlade-Chamberlain got moved out to wide right, where most of us feel he doesn't really contribute as much?
I couldn't really put much more to it than you. I agree with you fully on that. I've never most of the times I don't understand his substitutions, but maybe Bayern on Wednesday had something to do with it. I don't know. Why would he do that? Because he plays Ox in a position where he's not playing very well. I mean, I know I do talk very basic. I'm just a normal football fan. I don't do tactics and all that. I just sit there. To me, so many things are so obvious, so I don't really understand what he's doing. Do you understand what I mean? I don't get it half the time. Sorry, I can't really put more to it. I don't know why he's done what he's done.
Was any tactical insight into what you think he was doing there? We're missing Clive. He could probably have explained Wenger's thinking, but please have a go.
I can talk some bollocks, mate. I'll chat some bollocks about it. Right, basically, he's thinking behind it, for me, I'm not saying I agree with it, his thought process is that, by the way, I thought he waited far too long anyway to make the sub. I think, despite Ox having a very, very good game, which he did, and I certainly wouldn't have taken him out the middle, I think Arsene was looking at things thinking, we're not really controlling this game. We're not picking up the ball in the middle of the park. We're not controlling the middle of the park. And I think his thought process on bringing El Neni on was to gain control. But for me, it done the absolute opposite. And the following sort of 20 minutes after that proved that it really was the wrong sub, because Ox, despite not controlling the game, his energy and his power and everything in the midfield was helping us win that battle. And I think what Wenger does is he goes to extremes, and it really, really upsets me when he makes subs, because we're 1-0 up, he's thinking, no, hang on a minute, I've got to get as many defensive players on as I can. And what can I do? I'll tell you what, I'll take Theo off, I'll shift Ox right, and then I'll have two deeper midfielders. Yeah, that'll do, because we're 1-0 up against Hull. And like you said against Watford, we're 2-1 down. First 20 minutes, we've done brilliant. We've got back in the game, and Iwobi's having a blinder on the left. What can we do? I'll tell you what, I'll just throw as many attacking players on as I can. Fuck it, I'll just put Iwobi back in the middle, and we'll just put another attacker on, and we'll just go all out attack. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like that. It really doesn't have to be like that. It's almost as if, hang on, we're winning. Let's go full bollocks and defend. And hang on, we're losing. Let's just get everyone up front. And he tried to gain control, but realistically, all it done was hindered us. And Coquelin was struggling, and I think with Francis Coquelin again, he was being asked to press high, and he's constantly running around like a million miles an hour. And almost like Flamini was, and it's just not. That's not Coquelin for me. I much prefer him when he's sat deeper with a defined role and something where he knows, look, Coquelin, you're there. You let Ox go and do what he's going to do, and you just sit there, mate, and do your job. But the sub, I mean, I could see he's thinking, but I thought it was completely wrong. And El Neni, he's a tidy player. He'll come on, he'll make passes and things like that. But I just thought taking Ox out the middle really lost us the emphasis, and I was surprised, like you said, that Coquelin remained on, and I think the reason he did remain on is for what I said, that Wenger goes to extremes and thinks, no, I've got to go. We're 1-0 up here. I can't. If I take Cock off and we don't win this game, I'm going to be shot here. Yeah. But realistically, it probably would have helped us to have El Neni sitting in and picking up possession, because, like you said, we are playing Hull at home, and if El Neni sits in and plays the pass, we should be comfortable and we should be fine with that, as long as we don't go doing stupid things ahead of us. And really, I would have liked to have seen Cock maybe come off and then El Neni sitting there and keep Walcott on for another 5-10 minutes and see how we'd done if we could get back hold of the ball. But it didn't materialise, and it was a bit of a struggle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And they had a decent chance then as the game moved on with a header at the far post that the guy I think should have definitely done better with, but thankfully he didn't. And a decent save that Czech had to make from a turn and shot from one of their forwards. But then they were, obviously throwing everything at us, and we broke. And a nice little ball from Ozil sent Alexis off. I don't know what, as I said, Jan Tomaszewski, keeper, Jakupovic, whatever his name is, came running. I don't know where he thought he was going, but Alexis comes inside, drifts a nice ball over to Lucas, whose header is going in, and quite. I don't think Amanda's going to argue about this one being handball, but definitely, obviously, red card, penalty, and correct decision. And Alexis puts it away, and that was the end of the game. So a good win. Just wanted to touch on Özil. He's beginning. He's not having a great time at the moment, and people are saying he's looking a little bit short on confidence. His body language, which isn't the best. At the best of times, he's looking quite frustrated. You could see yesterday he was getting really frustrated with some balls that were coming in, and also then. So I was just going to ask what. Sorry, I got distracted there because people started wandering in. Just wanted to ask what you thought of Özil yesterday.
It's so hard for me to talk about Özil because I'm so biased. I really am. It's the only thing I am biased on. I thought he had a good game yesterday, actually. I don't think he has recently had good games, I will say that. But I do feel like he's getting frustrated. I do feel he had such a special relationship with him and Sanchez. They do like to pass to each other quite a bit, don't they? I have noticed that. He didn't stand out for me yesterday. It wasn't something I looked at and thought, man of the match sort of thing. For me, that was the Ox. But is he getting frustrated? Is the situation where is it the manager that's affecting it? I don't know, Mark. I don't know what's going on with any of them. I can't put my finger on anything that's going on at that club at the moment. We can't call whether we're going to turn up for any game. Yesterday, at least we turned up for the whole game. You know what I'm saying? For the full 90 minutes sort of thing. But we don't look great, which in turn means that he doesn't look great. So. I just it's hard for me because I'm very, very sort of, I'm in the Özil camp, always have been and probably always will be. So maybe Warren can say it a little bit more unbiased than me.
Well, I was going to say it must be hard for you to say anything bad about him if you thought he had a good game yesterday, but okay.
Well, I don't think it was that bad, to be honest, but then I see it through rose tinted. I don't know.
I don't know, but anyway, what do you think?
I don't think Özil was very good yesterday. I don't think. Especially judging by his standards, there were a lot of misplaced passes. He was seeing things but just weren't executing them. I think his frustration and his lack of performance, like Amanda says, he's very, very good with Sanchez. And I don't think either of them were on form yesterday. I think Alexis was very poor by his standards. I thought Bellerin probably had his worst game I've seen for a long, long time for Arsenal.
I thought that.
And I thought that things just weren't quite clicking. They just weren't quite happening for the team, and we couldn't seem to gain possession in midfield. We weren't controlling the game, and Özil was dropping deeper and deeper, and the link with Sanchez kept breaking down, and where Walcott was tucking in and Bellerin was having a poor game, they were consistently, for me, making the same runs, and I just think no one was really at it, and that's why I don't want to sound negative about a win at home with 3 points and a clean sheet, but I was expecting a lot more from us. And there are big players, Sanchez and Özil. There are two sort of the leaders. And Alexis, I thought, despite his 2 goals, I thought he was poor as well. And I just think it's all very well us judging individuals, but I think there's something deeper going on because we're not talking about, for the Ox at Chelsea, we were saying he was probably our best player, which I'd agree with. And Ox against Hull, I'd say is probably our best player, which I'd agree with. But that for me says a lot about the team as a whole because Ox did play well, but we're not clicking and things just ain't happening. And where earlier in the season we had them results where it's free flowing football and everything that Iwobi was touching and the movement and the passing and Özil and Sanchez and the runs in behind and Walcott getting the goals, it just wouldn't happen for us. And we had situations of frustration through the whole game. And I think we had a little chat about it earlier, Mark, that chance after 6 minutes where Özil, they give it away, Özil into Iwobi, and it's just that one decision that we were making the whole game through, not just Iwobi, every player, it just weren't clicking. And I think it's more frustrations, and we do need to click very quickly because we all know what's happening midweek, but it's not good at the moment, and it really is. It was a struggle to 3 points against, I know, a rejuvenated Hull side, but we made it hard work, and we just didn't look like the Arsenal that we all associate us with over recent years, even not the title winning Arsenal sides. Even we played brilliant football for years, but we just don't seem to be at the races at the moment. And I think Granit Xhaka missing is easy to say because he has been out, but I think he is a massive key to the fluidity of our team. And Özil can and then start to not worry about coming deep to move the ball. He can just play his game, get closer to Sanchez like they were earlier in the season, and hopefully it all clicks again. But as I say, it's got to happen bloody quick, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. There's more wrong with the team at the moment than just Mesut Ozil. But obviously he is a player lauded very much by our fans. As Amanda has said, he's very much a sort of favourite player. It's difficult to see what it could be. I mean, it's interesting that Wenger spent those last 4 games up in the stands, so has maybe had a bit more of a view of the game than he normally would. Because you don't always see the entire pitch and the movement very well from the dugout, particularly sat on your arse. Doing nothing for 90 minutes. Sorry, I had to just get that one in. But he'd have seen a lot more up there, sitting next to Primrak, who's probably the one normally up there feeding him any sort of information he needs. But a bit worrying that they still don't seem to be completely clicking. But I guess now is the time when normally we put that big run together. But as we've seen, it's very, very tight. It's the gap at the top with us being level on points with the scum up the road is 10 points now, but there's what is there 2 points between Spurs, us, City and United now, I think. Something. Is City playing tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Who they got?
Bournemouth away.
Bournemouth? Yeah. Oh, okay, 3 points for City there then. Away Bournemouth are playing. So again, that'll sort of drop us back down, and obviously Liverpool managed to win a game yesterday. So it's pretty tight, and I think we definitely need to make sure once the European football starts again. Obviously, it's going to hamper us. It'll hamper Tottenham, Chelsea. Obviously, it's a benefit to United. Won't be happy having to play Europa League games, and of course Liverpool have got no European football, so they'll have a bit of an easier run in. So yeah, it's going to be very tight now. So the team better get their asses into gear, I think, to be honest. Right, just before we wind things up, as we've mentioned, on Wednesday evening we are playing in the Allianz Arena against our old friends Bayern Munich. I can't think of a more boring game other than maybe if it was Barcelona we were playing, to be perfectly honest, in the Champions League. But we go off to Bayern. First time we've played them for a while with the away game first. So is this our opportunity with the away game first to actually overcome Bayern this time? What do you reckon, Amanda?
I don't think they're as good as last time, are they? They're not having a great run. I've only heard, to be honest. I actually think we're going to win. And I don't predict, but I've just got this feeling we're going to win on Wednesday night.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any reason for that? I mean, who would you play? I mean, who would your lineup be?
Well, I think the back four should pick itself for me. I think Monreal should be back. The thing I was talking about Xhaka before is I have two things with this. Does he deserve to walk straight back in after a game getting sent off for a red that was definitely a red? But we need him, so we shouldn't cut our nose to spite our face, definitely. So there's that part. So I suppose it should be Xhaka and Coquelin. Funny enough, I'd actually play Giroud, I think, on Wednesday night. Probably Ozil, Sanchez, Giroud. But then it's the Ox. I haven't really thought about it. You've caught me on the hop. But I do think that we are going to win 2-0. And I swear to you, I swear to you, Mark, I don't predict ever. Yeah. Okay. I had this feeling when I left. This is so Arsenal to do this on Wednesday night. Wouldn't it be so Arsenal to do it? To go there to beat after everything the last 6 to 8 weeks,
yes,
and to go and beat them. It's possible. Football's a funny game. We know that.
It is, yes.
You probably disagree with my lineup.
I've got some bad news for you, Amanda. The Podcast Association have introduced random drug testing, so I just need you to pee into this jar after this podcast so that we can all get a pint of whatever it is you've been drinking. Amanda's got us down for a 2-0 win. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? To be fair, I've been there and seen us win 2-0 in the Allianz, so it does happen, mate. It does happen. But
It
I've
does,
also
yes.
been there and seen us get banged 5-1, so that does happen and all. But when I look at it, I just think with the return of Granit Xhaka, I'd certainly play Ox. I think Ox probably had his best game in an Arsenal shirt at the Allianz, actually, when we drew 1-1, and that was at centre mid. And just, I'd like to go with no fear. I can understand why Amanda would start Olivier Giroud. I just think with Xhaka back in, though, and we can get Ozil higher up the pitch again, and especially on the counter-attack, I personally, if Welbeck's anywhere near fit, I'd probably look to go Welbeck, Sanchez, Walcott as my front three, and if Welbeck isn't fit, I'd be maybe inclined to play Lucas, because I do think that there is a chance for us to hit teams on the break, especially against better opposition. I know clearly at Chelsea we were very poor, but we played a 4-3-3 and we didn't really have the personnel to play it, and Ozil was wide left of the three. I just think if we can break quick, there's an opportunity to get goals, and I don't think we should be scared of Bayern. They're a fantastic team, and we know they've got a great manager, and it's a very difficult place to go, the Allianz. I mean, I think in the league this season, they've only conceded 12 goals, so it just shows how it's going to be a very difficult task. But I think if we go there and defend for our lives like we did at City, that's no good. Right? We're going to get picked off. I just think we need to be a bit more. I'd go for it, really, and show a bit of freedom and not go stupid. I'm not saying go gung-ho, but I'd rather play the three pacey forwards and really try and hit them on the break, because I think if we come back to the Emirates without scoring a goal, I think we're out, because I can't see us keeping a clean sheet at home against Bayern Munich. But I know we had a far superior team, but in our Champions League run last time when we got to the final, it was just, the teams we knocked out, the performances we put in, we done it against the big boys. And finally, we got an away game first, and we need to take advantage of it. I'm not saying we are going to, but if we don't believe, then what's the point? But we've got to be realistic about it. And the Arsenal we've seen of recent weeks, and as a matter of fact, the Arsenal I saw at the weekend, if we play anywhere there like that, we're going to get absolutely mullered. Thomas mullered. We're going to be in trouble, mate. I tell you. And I just hope that we do turn up, and I hope that the re-inclusion of Granit Xhaka, which he's obviously going to be fit and raring to go. He's had a big rest, and I just hope it clicks and we do pick the right team on the day. I just don't know whether it's a bit too big for Alex Iwobi. I like him, and I've enjoyed his performances this season, but we've seen in the very big games like the Spurs games, and it just not clicked for him, PSG and things like that. He's had opportunities, but I'd just like to go with Welbs, and I think at United you saw him in all his best games. Fergie trusted him in all his biggest games on that left side, and if he's fit, I hope he plays, but with big question marks, isn't there? But yeah. You never know, do you, mate? It's football. We've seen stranger things happen, like Sutton beating Arsenal.
Yeah, God forbid.
Yeah, please don't say that. But no, I forgot to mention earlier, I very much appreciated your admission that you'd never played Champions League football, mate.
I know, yeah, I know. I know there's people out there thinking I might have, yeah. But,
I honestly thought you had. But yeah, I mean, Bayern have got, they've still got. They're not doing as well this season because obviously they're in transition from Pep to Ancelotti. There seems to be some unrest there. That the players are not particularly enamoured of Ancelotti. There's rumours today that Bayern are going to pull up a release clause that I think one of the other German managers has got, either from I think it might be the Mönchengladbach manager or the Bayer Leverkusen manager. So they're obviously not as happy a club as they have been over the last 3 years, but they've still got more than enough quality in that team to give anyone a go. They rested Robben and Costa yesterday. They only came on for about 25 minutes each. Giroud, now, I don't know. I'm not sure about playing Giroud up against Martinez and Hummels. I think I would do the same as you've said. I'd go Welbeck, Alexis, and I'd still stick with Theo, even though I didn't think he had a great game. I'd still stick with him, his pace and his movement. I wouldn't play Ozil, but there's no point even thinking that Ozil won't be playing. So then, yeah, go with Xhaka and Koch in the middle. And I think Gibbs would be unlucky to lose his place to Nacho. I'm not sure. I might stick with Gibbs and Bellerin, given that they may be up against Robben and Costa, but we'll see. But definitely, it's going to be a tough game. I'm not a big fan of away leg first. I always prefer the away leg second, to be honest.
So do I.
But But we'll see. We'll see whether it makes a difference, and let's just hope we go out there and put up a good show, and leave us, because if we give ourselves a good chance at home, that could be a great night. We've conversations about the lack of big nights at the Emirates in 10 years, and maybe this could be one if we can not buy that and progress to the last 8 for the first time in quite a few seasons. Right. Well, any other comments that you'd like to make? Anything else you want to raise about this weekend or the Bayern game?
Oh, good, mate. Covered it all, I think.
Amanda?
I suppose the boys will discuss something at the next pod, won't they? So
yes,
let's not.
Yes,
Yeah.
They will. Did you get a ticket?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Oh, it's still open.
It's in progress. I know it sounds like ridiculous progress. I suppose like our season's still in progress, but it's in progress. So fingers crossed it comes through, and I end up going to the Theatre of Dreams down at Sutton.
Yes, definitely, mate. Fingers crossed that you get 2 and you can take me along.
I'll take you in my jacket if I get 1.
Yeah, I'd probably fit, mate. Yeah, because you'd fit in my pocket if we were playing Champions League football. Anyway, nothing more to say then. I'd like to thank Amanda for coming on tonight. Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome, Marky. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. And thank you for coming on, mate.
Top man, thank you very much for having us.
Right, well, this has been Gooner Ramble. This was podcast number 100, so hopefully we've done it justice. I've been your temporary host, Mark, pulled off the subs bench for tonight. Please, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe us on YouTube, stalk Amanda in the streets. Do whatever you can to make sure you're bigging us up. We hope you've enjoyed it, and the rest of the team will be back later this week, either Wednesday after the Bayern game or on the Thursday to discuss the Bayern match and look forward to the Sutton game. So thank you very much. This has been a Gooner Ramble, and always remember, up the Arsenal.
This podcast is sponsored by Panda Design, a design company specializing in graphic and web design along with complete brand and marketing solutions. Visit www.pandadesign.com, that's double I in design, and mention Gooner Ramble for 10% discount on orders over £250.